One of the things that's going to happen on that shift, probably very shortly after we start, is Feels Time with Liz, as I'm sure you're all familiar with. So I just want to prepare you for that, tuning in at 10. But for those of you who don't know, preview, when I was a kid, yes, please leave. This is about me. When I was a kid, when I was 11 and 12, I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I was in Seattle Children's Hospital, and it really sucked, and I was in isolation a lot because I had no white blood cells. But one of the things that made a difference was I had somebody had donated a TV and a console and some games for me to be able to play video games in my hospital room, and it made a huge difference. My parents weren't able to be there all the time, so I would spend a lot of time alone. But being able to play a game made a huge difference. I could be a kid again, and I could play games and be like, look, Mom, I can do a thing, when I couldn't really do much. So I am really excited to be a part of Desert Bus and what we're able to do for Child's Play charity.
Just ready?
Just in case. But I'm actually going to switch it over to Travis, because I was hoping you could tell us more again, so we remember what this is about. This is about kids in going through difficult times in their lives where we can make a difference.
Yeah, and this is, like you said, these kids are in a place where they can't necessarily do something. They can't get out and play with their friends. They can't go anywhere. They might be stuck in a room in isolation, and giving them the opportunity to play and socialize. Even now, so many more games are connected so that they can play with their friends. So you guys, all you people on there, chat people, are helping and have done an amazing job so far raising money for Child's Play. And we partner with I think we can safely say over 200 hospital facilities. It's a little bit more than what you see on our website, because some hospitals apply and they have so many or so few pediatric beds. They maybe only have 10 or 15 beds, that they aren't a full part of our system. But we turn around to those places and we say, we would overwhelm you, the gaming community. You guys would overwhelm them with so much stuff. What do you need? We'll go buy all that stuff for you and get that sent to you. So we partner with hospitals internationally in the US and Canada, the UK, and Australia, in Germany, and we donate on their behalf, or on your behalf, to them. We just this year started splitting up our donations a little bit. I have my GGB shirt on today to talk about the Gamers Give Back tour that we've been doing, where we visit 15 hospitals at a time, not at a time, but in a chunk. And we get to go celebrate the child life staff, which are the people who are there taking care of these kids. They're helping make sure that they keep on track with their education. Because the thing you don't think about so much is, these kids are in the hospital for months at a time, and they're missing out on school, and they can fall behind. But the child life staff there is to help keep them on track with school, to help them deal with emotionally what is going on. And so we go there to celebrate them, and we learned that all these hospitals are different. We used to just flood them with consoles and flood them with games, and we realized that some facilities can put that to use better than others, and some facilities are storing Xboxes in cupboards because they don't have places to put them, or they have too many. So we were able to, through this GGB tour, divide that up now. So we do an in-kind gift of games and consoles. We still give those things, but we also give them a check so that they can better aim for their facility and get what they need for their particular facility. We have another thing we've really been pushing is the use of games as video game therapy. So engineering is going to slide on, and look at that, there it happens. Our therapeutic game guide. We put this together. This is about 2 years old now, so as we flip through, you'll see some older games and things like that. But this was put together to help educate the child life staff, parents, hospital administrators, all the people who are working with kids on how to use games to help kids. And it deals with 6 major symptoms. So pain, boredom in short term and boredom in long term, which is very different. The short term is like waiting room stays. You don't want to put a Final Fantasy in the waiting room because you'd be like, and I just finished naming my character, I gotta go, but my guy has a name, I wanted to play him. And then long term, where a game like Peggle is great in short term. In long term, Peggle isn't it's a fun game, but for a month long, hey, give them that Final Fantasy game. Anxiety and hyperactivity, sadness, and then cognitive impairment. So the guide goes through and breaks down not just, like, it's not a comprehensive list of games, but it has in there what these games have and why they're useful. So Pain, games that are really bright. They have fun sounds. There are lots of action happening on. The desert bus might not be the best one for Pain. And so it's... And then we broke it down into over and under 12 years old to help understand. And then it gives the child care providers, the child life staff, the parents, an idea of what are some games to pick up. And in our next version, along with updating the games, we really want to bring in VR. That has been sort of a big push with Child's Play. Is we've been finding lots of really cool people who are doing really cool stuff with VR. Wow. We met a team in Australia who put together a MRI simulation in VR using the Vive headset, so that kids who are about to go in for MRIs, like, those machines are running constantly in the hospitals. And if you've never had an MRI, you're in this big, gigantic tube. They slide you in. It makes really loud noises. You can't move. If you move, it messes up the picture, so they can't see what they're trying to look for, and they have to redo everything. And it can be really scary. If you're a little kid and you've never done something like that before, you can freak out and all of a sudden have to start over, and that test is messed up. But they're running all the time, so kids can't get in and try it out. And here's your trial run so you can know what it's like. And so this VR piece was designed to put a kid in and then simulate through, the senses that you get with VR, the headset and the sound, what it's like to be in. And they can work with coaching kids through, okay, remember at this point it's going to get really loud and it'll sound scary and this will happen. But that's okay. You lay still. We'll be okay. And then if they panic, it was in VR and they can reset it and they can do it again.
That's super neat. I love that.
That's a really cool idea. I've seen some VR of, like, kids with playing games, and it's very immersive. But to prepare, because that's one of the scariest things. I just recently had an MRI. Actually, is just the unknown, unexpected, and just knowing that, like, I can't, like, I don't feel like I can stop this or I have control over it as much as I would like. It's the unknown that's scary. That's a really cool idea. Yeah, and so we're trying to find those people and then connect them to other people who we know who are doing great things. Eric just had a meeting, and I wish that I remembered the email, but he just had a meeting with another group that did a whole study on pain and how playing a VR game, they did the study, and so they had kids rate themselves on a pain scale. Where are you at? So I'm at a 7.9. Okay, let's play this game while you're playing the game. Where are you? I'm on like a 5.2. And then afterwards, even once the game is done and they've finished playing, afterwards they can rate their pain scale and say, you know what, I'm at like a 6.3 right now. And so the gameplay sticks with them past just the time that they're immersed in the game. And this was another VR game. And so, when you think about what that does for kids, along with getting them playing a game and getting them moving, because a lot of VR is in there moving, which is hard for therapy. And so their PT people are like, hey, we need you to move your arms, we need you to do this stuff. And now they're in a world where they want to interact and do stuff. That whole drop in pain level extends past the gameplay, which means they ask for less morphine, which means they're using less drugs, which is like all around just a great thing for them.
That's super cool. Yeah, I love the idea that, especially with the VR stuff, like, I've only tried it like a little bit myself, and I have sort of started to experience that sort of being in another place, and if you're stuck in a bed for however long, that feeling of being able to sort of go somewhere else, or whatever, do the like job simulator thing, or just do something totally weird and crazy and different from the lying in bed stuff, has got to be excellent.
Yeah, and we're looking in May. We're going to go to the Child Life Conference in the United States, and we are hoping to get put together. We're going to call it a therapeutic game arcade, but we want to have all of the different VR setups so that the Child Life staff can see. Here is a full Vive kit with the controllers and everything. Here's the Oculus with the touch. Here's just the Google Cardboard. Kind of everything across those levels, and let them experience the games, because so many people haven't, right? I mean, like, it's still kind of a small number of people who have done VR, and let them see, what it takes, and start kind of thinking about how do you get this into a hotel room or a hospital room. And we have a grant out right now for someone who's doing research to push VR kits out into 4 hospitals. So they're creating a cart that will hold the computer and all the pieces, so that when you roll in, you need one outlet, and they plug into one outlet, and the whole kit is ready to go. Because space is such a priority in a hospital room.
Right, it's not like you're going to be like, please move this important medical life-saving equipment.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
agree
this thing keeps their
VR
hearts
thing.
and lungs going, but let's put a VR kit in there. So
if the scalability that's so important. Like when I haven't been here all 10 years of Desert Bus. Gosh, it really is 10 years. But like when I started, the idea of just like, we just need to get games and consoles and things just into hospitals, and now it's like, all right, now we have that.
Right.
What do we do next? So we need to teach the people who are actually involved to implementing that, like how to use it if you don't play video games, and then the next step of continuing it, the scalability. It's just so really cool to see how it develops.
How to support it. We don't think, as the gaming community, we don't think like running an update on an Xbox or a PlayStation is a big deal, but that can shut down an Xbox.
It's kind of a pain in the butt, I guess.
Yeah. Right, and so it's kind of a pain in the butt for us, but if you're a Child Life staff member who's not a gamer, who doesn't do this, the Xbox says we need to run an update, we're having trouble with it. Hospital IT can sometimes be a problem because they're worried about privacy and information getting out, understandably. That console might just be like, okay, this one goes on the shelf over here, it's done. And hopefully this one works. So yeah, there are a lot of challenges that they run into in getting these things out here. And so we really want to work with hospitals to help figure out, this is a priority, this is a really important thing. It's not just kids playing games.
I'm curious about any research going on with VR and brain injuries, because I, having had one at one point, it was actually VR that I found easier than other games, because the immersive environment was less disconsonant than something on a screen with separate audio. So I'm curious for kids what that is like.
I don't know of any personally, other than sort of the pain reference ones that I just talked about, but I'm sure it's out there, and that's the kind of stuff we want to find. So chat, if you know anything about this, send it to us. info@childsplaycharity.org, because we want to talk to you about that.
Right, I'm sure there's tons of studies out there that chat will find for us.
Yeah, send it to us. We love these things.
Yes, my first Desert Bus was Desert Bus 5, for those of you who thought I just said that I was at the original one. I was not. I'm sorry to those.
You were there in spirit.
I was. I knew one day something important is happening.
Actually, what was the first? Did you see Desert Bus 1?
No.
What was the first one? Was it 4 that you saw?
I must have seen pieces of 4, because I had just joined the Enforcer community, and they were like, this is a big deal, and I was like, whatever, and then I saw it in the background at some event.
I mean, to be fair, nobody really saw Desert Bus 1.
Hey, look, Eric just jumped into chat, too.
Yes.
And in chat, Eric said, if someone wants to do research, we're happy to look at helping fund grants as well. Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Awesome.
So, if you're someone who's developing VR and want to look at that, talk to us.
It's funny with VR. Like, I mean, there's all sorts of interesting stuff with gaming and things, but I find that the things that I tend to be actually the most interested about are like the non-gaming applications, like all sorts of really interesting ideas with simulating like environments and new ways of working, watching movies in a whole theater that's been simulated around you, and all this kind of cool stuff. I mean, the games are cool too, but it's very exciting, and it's so cool that we're at this position now where there are all these different options. Like you're saying with the cardboard.
Yeah,
like, the super cheap kind of just showing you what is possible, all the way up to the motion control stuff.
Yeah, and what better way to escape like the 4 walls than to literally be teleported and transported into a world elsewhere?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just in a hospital now. I'm in the middle of the forest fighting a goblin horde, and I need to go this way because that's where my castle is, so I'm going to run that way, and maybe I haven't gotten up and ran in a long time.
It's just so cool. Back in my day, we didn't have VR. I do actually remember really terrible VR actually as a kid, but they would never be able to make it into hospitals.
And maybe Eric will throw it up on chat because he's always better about this, because he always talks to me about there's an eye condition that like the Nintendo 3DS is even better than, you know, like what you're supposed to do, or what they used to do is like have people stare at like these different positioned dots away from your face.
Are you thinking of like strabismus, where you can like where your eyes, one eye is?
Let's see if that's what Eric says. He always tells me about it, and I always forget it.
I can speak to that.
Yeah, Jared had
but
that.
yeah, that, like
Has.
playing the 3DS
Has that. Jared has that.
has that.
It's much better than it used to be. Used the 3DS for a while to.
Yeah, and playing the 3DS with, like got the exact same
I
thing.
call it back alley vision therapy.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of the same thing. You being able to control the amount of 3D that is visible, that should be visible,
Ear Bear has a
gives you a
question.
gauge for knowing how much you should be able to see, and you can
Get
sort
you in
of
a second,
focus
Ear
on
Bear.
that and make sure that you've got it at any given time. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting.
And it's much easier to get a kid to be like, hey, why don't you play this Nintendo DS? Nintendo DS for half an hour instead of stare at this piece of cardboard for half an hour.
Exactly.
We had a question.
Yeah, Earbear just asked a little bit ago in chat, how can you get involved with no money and no like nonprofit experience or anything like that? You don't have to put on a giant gaming marathon like this, but you can do that super easy. We have a fundraising guide on the Child's Play charity website, and if you go there, it talks about how to set up a little streaming thing like this. We've had kids do lemonade stands. We have kids do like senior projects where they're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run a game night in my high school gym. We're going to set up all the computers to play games and charge $5 at the door, and then send in, you know, $150 to Child's Play. And so every little bit counts and every little bit helps.
I feel like even just talking about it, like
Yeah.
every little thing is good, but you know, one thing that's great is normalizing constantly the idea of giving to charities like this. If it is something that people take for granted that a person does, like eating dinner, I mean, like just help normalize it by talking about it and raising awareness too. When you hear of something that is going on, maybe you don't have money to donate, but other people do. You can just share that and get that information out in the world, right?
That's what we love, is sharing the information. That's part of that therapeutic game guide. We want to get that out to anybody and everybody that we can. So if you're interested in seeing it, we have it as a PDF. We can send it to you. We probably, Eric, do we have a link? Is he gone? Do we have a link on the website, Eric? That should be what's at the top. Therapeutic game guide.
Fundraising guide. He actually linked it before you. It's
Fundraising
scrolling.
guide. It's there.
It's like you guys work together or
I
something.
know.
Great team.
It's one thing that I find really neat about Child's Play. You know, obviously there are lots and lots of charities that are doing wonderful work. I love the kind of progressive nature of where, you know, giving an Xbox or something to a hospital, you know, costs however much it does for the Xbox, but when you think about how many kids, it's not just like you're giving that much money to a kid to make them happier. It's you're giving that, and you know that's going to be used by
Yeah, that
hundreds of
Xbox.
people.
That
coming through
Xbox
the same
sticks around
place.
for a long time.
And that's really neat. Like it's sort of this multiplication effect
Yeah.
that I find really cool.
And it allows us to sort of think about, someone came through with the $7 amount, and Eric's going to correct me on it, but $7 is enough to outfit like one hospital room with a full set of like an Xbox and an iPad or some sort of tablet, an iPad or a Kindle tablet or something like that. And I think a DS. Eric, correct me if I'm wrong on these things.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
For $7, that you can make a huge difference in one child's life and many children's
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
And that's not even really that much.
And
Wow.
it's awesome to help strangers. It's awesome to help friends. You could be helping friends without even knowing it. I remember one year we did Desert Bus, and my mom sent me a message during Desert Bus that one of their friends had just found out that their granddaughter had serious medical issues and was having to go to hospital. And they found out it was one of the hospitals that was now supported by
Aw.
Child's Play, and that was so cool. Yeah.
Travis, that was some amazing feels time. Thank you so much for telling us about Child's
Yes.
Play.
Hey, thank you guys for all of this. This is amazing. And I haven't crashed the bus yet. By the way, if you didn't notice, I'm using the bug splat laser technique
Yeah.
we talked about with
Yeah.
Jerry.
It's a good
I like
It's
it.
all
Yeah.
a technique.
All I wanted to do is say pew 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 the whole time.
Yeah.
But talking about Child's Play is even more fun.
It's important.